Here's the top cheating tip from a professor. I'm going to tell you this, and this is going to really help you out in terms of cheating. Just find people that don't care. I think that's the most important thing. You can look around, you can talk to different people, and you'll find a lot of different professors, a lot of people that just don't care. And that is going to be a lot in terms of you figuring out how to cheat the system. Now, I want you to sort of think about something completely different in this case. So, how you're thinking about cheating at this moment is you're thinking about the world is against you, and you're thinking about that all of this around you is some sort of hurdle towards you getting to some sort of place, right? Instead, I want you to sort of think about this. I want you to think about as if you are interacting with the world and you're trying to figure out how to get to where you want to go to, use the world around you as a way to leverage and to do things that you can do that are extraordinary. And so if you have that different mindset, right? So right now, instead of thinking, hey, I want to focus on myself and the rest of the world is sort of holding me back, I want you to think about this, is the rest of the world can actually help you and get you to where you want to go to. And you could do some really wonderful things by leveraging some of those things that are available. Now, the problem is that you'll end up having to work kind of hard to get to where you want to go to. Right? It's going to be really, really tough because the world is kind of fixed in the way that it sort of, in the way that it stands. But you can really do some wonderful things if you start thinking as, hey, wait a minute, I can leverage some of the resources that are given to me at this moment. And those resources come in all sorts of different ways. One of them being, and I simply have to work at this particular thing and then I will get to where I want to go to. So how do you work at it? It's a lot of repetition. It's lots of doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And it's really boring and really tedious. I want you to think about all of the world-class people that you know. And you probably don't know too many people, right? But if you can imagine world-class athletes, if you can imagine world-class musicians, like the Beatles, for example, or, Jay-Z, whoever it is that you're thinking about. Anybody in an area, world-class financiers or people that are making money, people that are working on Wall Street, a lot of it is just simple repetition. And what you end up doing is repeating the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, right? So if we can speed up this repetition, right? So this is what I sort of view that some people in the outside world want to do, is that you'll have to repeat, to do anything really well, you're going to have to repeat something 10,000 times. That's like the general rule. It seems like it's unusual and weird and crazy, but it is really 10,000 times. I want you to actually try to I want you to go try skipping, for example, outside. And see how many times you have to skip by the time you actually get really good at it. It's going to take a lot of work. So instead of doing that 10,000 times, there are people out there that are trying to help you that will condense this into, say, 8,000 times. Or, if you have a really good helper, they're going to try to condense it until 5,000 times. Now, if you did that repeatedly in many different areas, where instead of having to repeat something 10,000 times, you can repeat it at 5,000 times, you'll be quintessentially far better off, way further ahead than everybody else around you. And you're going to make a heck of a lot more money by doing that. B, you're going to sort of have just a rich understanding of how things are going to happen. And then C, what's going to happen in, probably not now and probably not in about 5 years, but in 20 years, you're going to start seeing all these different connections and how things work. And the world actually has a lot of connections and lots of redundancy where you can see all of these different patterns that happen. That is what we sort of think about when we are pulling ideas together, is that there is a lot of connection. And so if you can be in that position, that very luxurious position to see those connections, guess what's going to happen to you? You're going to be able to spot things that nobody else can see and then take advantage of those particular things that will, make you a lot more money, that are going to get to some sort of, maybe it's a career position. Maybe if you don't care about your career, that's totally fine. You're going to be able to find opportunities for you to be more lazy, in the sense of, I view being lazy as a really good thing, by the way. That's just being very human, where you are economizing on your resources that you have available. I actually have a very positive attitude about laziness, because, we should be more lazy, right? We shouldn't have to work more. But if you look at those particular opportunities that are there, and you see those opportunities in 20 years, and you can connect all those things, and you can live the life where maybe you're living on a yacht or something like that, which is not unusual and it's not sort of weird. But I want you to sort of think about that. Like, how do you actually do that? How do you get that moment where you are spectacularly wealthy compared to where you are right now? Maybe that you have, doing something that you really like to do. How do you actually get there? Well, this is where you have to think about, okay, I want to go to this moment where, I want to live the life like, I don't know, if I say like live the life as like Justin Bieber or something like that, is going to be way off. But you could say that, hey, I want to live a life where I'm going to be pretty wealthy compared to now. I'm going to be better off compared to now. I'm going to probably have maybe more friends, more quality friends, like just universally better off. How do I actually get there? And if you take that attitude of, I want to get there in 20 years or 25 years where, things are going to be a lot better for me, right? You have to sort of think about, how do I assemble the resources that I have right now? What do I have at my fingertips? What can I actually do to actually get to where I want to go to that sort of moment where it's really off in the future, that's really spectacular? Well, if that's the case, if that's what you're thinking about, what you need to do is sort of reverse the mindset and how you're thinking about like cheating and all that kind of stuff right now. What you have to think about is like, hey, wait a minute. I have this unbelievable opportunity. I can start learning some of these things that other people have learned. That's all education is, by the way. It's like just many years of experience that people have learned, and we combine it all together and give you in a little package. If I start learning some of those things, I could be universally better off. Now, I can't necessarily guarantee that for absolutely everybody, but in general, for a huge group of the people that are going to be watching this, that is true. You're going to be far better off. So if I take that idea, right, it's flipping it all on its head, where you're thinking about, I want to get to someplace tomorrow. But instead I'm saying, hey, wait a minute. Why don't we park that notion? And why don't we think about something that's really far in the future where you're just universally better off? Whatever you want to do. If you want to go and, have all of the, I don't know, Ferraris and bikinis and all that kind of stuff, whatever it is. I don't know what people want what your sort of things are. Or maybe you want to live in, some wonderful place in the mountains. Well, how do you actually get there? Right? That's the question. And if you turn it around, you think about this, like, I want to actually get to that moment, then you have to start thinking about, okay, what is it that I need to learn to actually get there? And if that's the case, then you might want to learn some of these things that are really cool and interesting around you, and start sort of putting in that time and effort that will take for you to learn those particular skills. Now, there's some things that you might be, many of you are going to be like, well, I'm not going to need to know calculus or anything like that. Well, that is true. However, if you want to start seeing those connections between many different things, you have to realize most of the professions that are making a lot of money and doing really well, they learn calculus, because there's things that you learn, there's sort of patterns that you learn that you put them all together, and it makes a lot of sense when you do that. This is pretty universal. If you look at many different things, there are these sort of general patterns, and calculus is one of those things where you have those sort of general patterns behind it. A lot of mathematics is definitely that way, where we have these sort of patterns behind things. And then once you learn it, you start looking around saying, hey, wait a minute, I get this. I see why that there's all these different patterns behind there. So I'd encourage you to sort of pursue those things because that's how you see the bigger picture that you would never have seen before. One of the courses that I took many years ago that seemed like, oh, this is weird. Heat transfer and thermodynamics. Those are, well, two courses. But now, that there were such a crazy courses, I actually see I see a lot of things in the world in terms of these kind of what are called mechanisms, the way that sort of things work. Uh, from things like, friendships to, life in general. It sort of really gets you to think about the world differently. And that's the idea. So there you have it. Hopefully this really helped you out in terms of figuring out, the best cheating tips, but also helped you out to sort of give a life cheat to get to where you need to go to. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.